council, members of the jury. They saw what they wanted to see. This is Skyler. She's a student at Middle State University. She's a friend. She's a daughter. She's aspiring to be a doctor. She's a person. She's not perfect. She has made mistakes and she has owned up to those mistakes. She's a lot of things. But what she isn't, what she most absolutely is not, is a killer. See, the government tried to tell you a story today. A story alleging that this young college student drove to the Midlands Marina at 10 p.m. on March 18th. A story that she eagerly waited inside her car to kill Officer Robinson. A story that they wanted to see. And here's the thing. When we hear a case like this, when it's a tragedy like this one, we desperately feel the need to hold someone accountable. When it's a tragedy that leaves a young woman a widow and takes someone from us who swore to protect us, we desperately feel the need to find someone to blame. Here's the defense. I agree with that completely. Officer Robinson was a fantastic officer. By all accounts, an outstanding individual. Someone who was young and wanted to start a family. Someone who was an unsung hero in our community. And the person responsible for his death should be held accountable. But that person is not Skyler. They try to tell you a different story today, members of the jury. A story that they just wanted to see. Now, first, we must start by looking at what the government needed to prove to you in this case. And the elements that the government didn't even show you today. They had to prove each and every one of these claims beyond and to the exclusion of every reasonable doubt. That is the highest burden in our legal system. That means that the state had to rule out every possible explanation, every potential killer, every reasonable doubt. And if you believe for just a moment that someone other than Skyler had the means to do this and the motivation to do this, if you believe for just a second that Skyler Sinclair might just be a college student who made some mistakes, then you must find her nothing. Members of the jury, they didn't try to prove these elements to you with any video footage, with any pictures, or with any eyewitness accounts that actually saw the attack. Instead, they called 3 police officers to the stand. A police officer who was married to the victim. A police officer who investigated this case. A police officer who works as a forensic investigator and gets employed by police departments. Officer Turner told you himself when he took that stand that the reason he came into this case, the sole reason for his involvement, he said this is a case in which police officers will naturally be biased. But the government ignored their own witnesses' advice, their own witnesses' testimony, and chose not to call a single witness who was not part of the police force. See, members of the jury, think about what you have heard. Where was Skyler, if not at the Marine? You heard today that she was at a concert at the Midland State University campus 45 minutes away at the time the crime occurred. You don't have to take my word for it. You don't even have to take Skyler's word for it. Because her classmate Taylor Strongbow took that stand today and she told you that she saw her at the concert. She saw her there. There's no way that Skyler could have been at the marina that night. There's no way she could have killed Officer Jamie Robinson. But the government They saw what they wanted to see. So they chose to ignore these facts. They chose to ignore that she had an alibi. They chose to ignore these elements, and they failed to prove their case. Now, I want to focus on the facts in this case. Because as Mr. Zapata said, facts, they have no moral judgment. You see, the government, they just saw a simple story. They found the bat. There was blood in the bat. So Skyler must be guilty. So let's think a little bit about this bat. Now they're alleging that Skyler was holding this bat when she struck Officer Jamie Robinson. But what did the forensic evidence tell us? It told us that there was no fingerprints found on this bat. So then at that point, are we supposed to assume that the perpetrator was wearing gloves? Well, if the person was wearing gloves, how could the blood get through the hands of the person, through gloves, into the handle of the bat? Are we supposed to assume that the perpetrator was clever enough to wipe off all her fingerprints? She examined this bat carefully enough to remove all the fingerprints, but she overlooked her own bloodstains? You see, it's not all answers, questions the government can't answer. And not only that, those are questions that they didn't even try to answer. The closest possible explanation we have as to how this could be came from the government's own expert witness. And I wrote it down because I wanted to get it just. Investigator Defoe took that stand today, and she told me it's entirely possible for the blood to have gotten at the bat at different times. It's entirely possible for the blood of Jamie Robinson and Skyler Sinclair to have gotten into that bat at different times. That's reasonable doubt. But the government, they just asked you to fill in that gap for them. They asked you to make a short. But that's not good enough, members of the jury. And because in this country, in this great nation, things don't work like that. In this country, people don't get convicted based on assumptions and shortcuts. In this country, innocent people are innocent until proven guilty, and the government has failed to prove their case to you. I am confident when you go back into that deliberation room, you have the facts, you have the evidence, you have the testimony from the witnesses. You won't see what the government wanted to see. You won't see what they desperately needed you to see. You will see the truth. Find Skyler Sinclair not guilty. Thank you.
Thank you.